Hello and welcome to our basic settings router tutorial. In this tutorial we'll be going over the basics of a router, showing the physical parts including lights, buttons, and ports, as well as how to set up your first personal wireless network. The purpose of this tutorial is to help all those who have had less experience with wireless networking equipment. We know these things can be new and confusing, so we will do our best to be simple and concise as we explain the basics of the router. Here's your basic router. For this tutorial we'll be using a NETGEAR router. If you have a different router, that is okay. For most of the information we will cover will be universal. On the front of the router you will find 5 different lights, which I will cover from left to right. The first light that we have is on the left, which is the power light. It tells you if the device is currently powered on. The next is the check light, which comes on whenever you power on the device. This light comes on to tell you that it is testing to make sure everything is ready to go. When that light turns off, you know the device is ready. The next light is your wireless light. It tells you if wireless is enabled. If you are not using wireless, this light will not come on, and Ethernet is the only way you can connect to it. The next light is the little I symbol, which tells you if there's an active internet connection on the device. And if you are connected to the router and that light is not on, you will not be able to connect to the internet. The next 4 lights are the port lights, will tell you if a computer is currently connected to the device through the hardware Ethernet jack in the back. This not only means the computer is connected to on that port, but it also means it is currently communicating with the device. Here we have the back of the NETGEAR router. The first thing we have is the LED on-off switch. This is specific to this device, so if you do not have it, do not worry. Next we have the power port. This is where you plug the power cord into the device so it can power on. Next we have the Ethernet ports. The first 4 are for connecting computers directly into the router without using wireless. The last one is for the internet, where you plug in your modem. Most routers either have them separated or labeled. The last is the very small hole that you see right after the internet Ethernet port, which is a reset. Push something very small through the hole to press the button and hold it down for 30 seconds to reset the device. The obvious first step to enabling your router is plugging in the power cord as shown. Make sure you wait a few moments before trying anything, for it needs some time to test and start. Remember the light we have on the front, the check light, as soon as that goes out, it is ready. In order to initially set up your device as soon as you get it, you will need to hardwire your computer into the router. First you need to plug your Ethernet cable into one of the Ethernet ports as shown. Next you will need to find the Ethernet port on your computer. On my laptop, you'll see that it's in the bottom right hand corner. This is a closer view of the Ethernet port on the back of my laptop. You'll see a little symbol next to it. It has a line and small squares connecting off of it. This is usually a universal symbol on a computer for an Ethernet port. As soon as you have located the Ethernet port, plug in the cord that is also plugged into the router. After you log in, many routers will bring you to a setup wizard. Every router will have a different setup wizard, so I will not cover it in this tutorial. You can follow the wizard if you want, but for our purposes we will click No, I want to configure the router myself. On your internet browser, enter 192.168.1.1 into the address bar and press enter. If this address is not found, try entering 192.168.0.1. The router may be combined with the modem, thus requiring the use of the latter address. This is the address that will enable you to connect to the device. After you type in the address, an authentication box will open asking for a username and password for the device. Since it has not been changed, it is the default username and password, so enter the default username admin, that's ADMIN, and the default password PASSWORD, and press OK. This is the basic settings page. In this case, we will use all the default settings that are already chosen. This is the wireless settings page. This is where we make most of our changes in both the wireless network and security options. The first thing that we want to do is change the first field, which is the SSID or name of the router. For this tutorial, I've decided to call it My Wi-Fi, but you can name it anything that you would like. The next option we will look at is the channel. In this instance, we only have a choice of using channel 6. sometimes you'll be able to use other channels. You should only use channel 1, 6, or 11. Otherwise, you will overlap on other channels and cause interference. The next option we will look at is the mode. In this instance, we're just going to use auto, which I would suggest, but you can also change it to use certain technologies specifically. The next thing we'll take a look at is the security options. We see that there are different options for security. In a later tutorial, we'll talk about what these different options are, but for now, I would suggest just picking one of the WPA security options and putting in a passphrase. Do not forget this passphrase, for you will need it when you're connecting your devices. As soon as you are finished putting in these different settings, make sure you click the apply button so that it can update, as you can see on the screen. Otherwise, your settings will not take effect. Your router should now be set up and ready to use. You can now go to your computer and connect to the router. As you can see on my computer, it now shows the My Wi-Fi router being broadcasted. This is my SSID. If you set it to something else, it will show as whatever you set it to. After you've double-clicked on your router, this screen will pop up asking you to type in your security key or passphrase that you typed in on the router. Place your password into the box and click OK. After you've clicked OK, this box will pop up telling you that it is trying to connect to the router. Thank you for listening in, and we hope you were able to set up your own wireless network. Please stay tuned in for next week for more tutorials as we go over detailed security settings and other ways to take full advantage of your wireless router. The Ethernet port on your computer, plug in the device that is not the device, the cord. So we will not go to your computer and select the whatever the heck you want to. I don't care. If you are unable to set up your wireless network, please jump up and down, bark like a dog, bang your head against the wall. We don't care. Throw the router out the window, for you do not need it.